Welcome to Technado with Don Pizzette, featuring sysadmin expert Don Pizzette, DevOps engineer Justin Dennison, security specialist Daniel Lowry, and Peter.
Hello and welcome to Technado with Don Pizzette. We have our special social distancing episode today. For those of you that are watching on video as opposed to just listening on audio, we are spread out just all across the building at least 6 foot intervals. So above me there, also in the same room as me, but on the opposite side of the room, we have Don Pizzette. Don, how you doing?
I am doing great. We have a solid, 20 feet of social distancing, which honestly, I kind of like on a regular day.
No, it's a smart move. And then up in the upper left there, over in Studio 3 here at the IT Pro TV Studios, we have Daniel Lowry. Daniel, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, yeah, sounds nice.
As always.
And then Justin is a confusing one because he's in Studio 7 here, which has a background to look like the lobby of the building. So I'm extremely confused, but Justin, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Real quick, I think the door lock is on the outside, and I haven't been able to get out all day.
Yep, and so we're also joined by our special guest today, William Price, who's the founder of CyberX's Cybersecurity Services. And William, I don't know exactly where you are, but I assume you're more than 6 feet away from me. Where are you located from today?
We're in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, that is plenty of distance. So I think we are all safe. And welcome to the show. And it's good to have you here, and I know we've got some business coming up with you and stuff, and so I don't want to give it away. Let's just jump right into our first segment, which is rapid fire questions.
Who do you work for?
What's new?
Who are you?
What's happening?
What's wrong with you?
All right, William, this is the rapid fire round. You'll have 45 seconds to a minute to answer the questions. You run out of time, and boom, we're going to buzz you and move on. And the first question is going to come from Peter.
Yes, it is. So why don't you just give us kind of a little bit of a rundown of CyberX and well, you're the founder, so what led you to start CyberX?
Before we started CyberX, I'd been doing some pen testing for some of the larger tier organizations. And after working with them, finding the gaping holes they had in their security, and about the same time when a friend who had a small business was breached, and I began to realize the need a small business have, being that they are the majority of our economy, and they are often overlooked by a lot of vendors. That's why I started CyberX, to help small and mid-sized businesses improve security.
Well, he made it under the flame, so I guess I'm going to have to go. So what is this SMB Cybersummit? And in particular, I noticed registration opened April 1st. Is this just some kind of joke?
No, I actually never thought about April's day, but yeah. So the SMB Cybersummit is a online summit, virtual summit that we are partnering with a lot of our friends. We're hosting April 27th to May 1st. It's a 5-day summit with multiple sessions each day, helping small and mid-sized businesses improve their cybersecurity, mitigate risk, and build lasting and effective security programs.
So now I know I'm a small business owner, and the idea of running a business and putting on a conference at the same time seems like an absolute nightmare for me. So for you, cybersecurity, obviously that's just a huge industry right now, tons of activity, breaches happening all the time. How do you manage to run your business and run a conference at the same time?
Prioritization, setting up checklists, lots of small little goals that eventually meet the big picture. So get a little bit done every day.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Let's go back to CyberX. I've got a question about that because it seems really interesting and more up my alley. I'm just looking at what you guys offer. You offer things like pen testing and training, regulatory compliance. What part do you enjoy the most?
I probably like penetration testing the best. It's just fun to be able to break into things. And then we always find things that the organizations had no idea were even on their network, and it's sort of fun to bring them to that realization, the weaknesses they have that need to be fixed.
Do you have like a big reveal on Maury Povich? Like that kind of deal? Like, the lie detector said you were running that bad version of SMB.
I think probably the best example is a pen test we did in the fall for a large organization, and They were pretty well locked down. They have a large cybersecurity budget. They're in the financial space. But we were able to break into room booking devices that were Windows-based OS and had anonymous root FTP access. And we were able to break into those to drop off our malicious payloads.
I love those stories when it's like the little random thing that you don't think about in the back. So going back to the conference for just a second, my last question here for rapid fire is Adam Gordon the best possible speaker that you could get?
Adam Gordon is definitely one of a kind. He's probably been doing security for longer than I've been alive, so he's one of the guys you listen to.
I think he just called Adam old.
That's what I heard. That was my key takeaway.
That old fogey's got security out of lock.
But we should mention, Adam is speaking at the event, and his topic is 50 Shades of Grey, Ostriches and Sandboxes, Myths that Explain Why the Modern Enterprise is Broken. I love the title, and I'm intrigued, and now I'm going to sign up, as I should. And if people want to sign up for that, where do we do that?
It is SMB Cybersummit.com.
Perfect. And I didn't buzz you at all for going over time because I have no idea what the time is because I moved to the other side of the room that doesn't have the clock. So I've got 2 monitors of myself.
Well, he actually made it. We have like 38 seconds left in the whole segment.
How would you like to spend that time then, Justin?
Well, I actually have a question I'd like to sneak in, which is, what this conference, was it an in-person conference and then you had to like retrofit it as online, or was it always online?
No, it was actually always online. We did a conference, intended to be a webinar in the fall on the new California consumer privacy regulations for a lot of our customers. And it outgrew a webinar and became a summit. It was a 3-day summit, and all the attendees loved it so much and asked us to do something again this year. So yeah, it actually started off as a virtual summit.
Or he knew about this ahead of time somehow.
The conspiracy.
We'll never know.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move over to our next segment now, which is a brand new segment that we just came up with. Now I got to find the intro for it. Here it is. Oh yes, it is Milkshake Duck.
My milkshake brings all the to the yard. I could teach you, but I have to try.
So very proud of that intro. So for those that aren't familiar with the term milkshake duck, we should explain it first. A milkshake duck is basically something that starts off great and wholesome and everyone's excited about, and then you find out something about its past and it's terrible. So the example they use, milkshake duck, is, oh, look at this cute milkshake, this cute duck, it's drinking a milkshake. Oh, we forgot to inform you, we found out the duck is a racist. So today's milkshake duck topic, which is such a weird thing to say, is Zoom. And Don, you brought this topic to us. Why is Zoom a milkshake duck? Because I think, aren't they doing great things now? And hey, Zoom's free for everybody?
All right, so Zoom, they have been kind of the Cinderella story of the coronavirus outbreak. And really, just over like the last 8 or 9 years, Zoom has been growing year over year. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. And when the coronavirus outbreak hit and people started having to work from home, Zoom stepped up and said, look, we've already got the product out there for businesses, and we're going to remove the 40-minute time limit for consumers and just anybody with a free account, so you can effectively use Zoom to run your classroom, run your business, interact with your family. And it was really an amazing thing. It makes you feel like the future. It makes you feel like the Jetsons, right? I can see people right on my tablet, that kind of thing. And that made them a big, shiny example of what tech companies could do to step up and help people. But that only lasted for a handful of days. Right. And then all of a sudden we started getting, so it was funny stuff at first, right? Like there was the viral video going around of the meeting of 16 people, and one lady in there goes to the bathroom and forgets her video is on. Right. And it's funny, but mortifying at the same time. And now we've started to see more things come out, and the articles I don't think are going to stop. So one of the first ones I saw was on PCGamer.com, and the headline was PSA. Zoom will narc to your boss if you're tabbed out during a meeting. A lot of people don't realize that the Zoom process actually monitors all of the other running processes on your computer. And if you've put the window in the background after 30 seconds, it actually tells the meeting organizer, and the meeting organizer can pull up the logs afterwards to see, was it held in focus or not? And it's designed for classrooms, so the teachers know if you're paying attention.
I think that's fine, though, because I could say I was taking notes in my other tab on Microsoft Word.
I feel like I'd just spin up a virtual machine and start the Zoom meeting there and then just go to my regular machine and do whatever I feel like.
Does this count as Mac virtual desktops? What if I full screen it on a virtual desktop and then I just switch over? Does it still?
So on a Mac, when you switch desktops, that is now a background process.
I mean, I'm always attentive.
I mean, you can solve it with just getting a second computer, but the privacy concern is, that it is basically monitoring all these other non-processes. And then turns out the Zoom iOS app was sharing information with Facebook, regardless of whether or not you had logged into Facebook. So you may not have a Facebook account at all, and it was still sharing a lot of telemetry data with them. There was a Norwegian school that ended up having to stop using Zoom. You want this headline, Peter?
No, you go ahead, please.
A Norwegian school quit using video calls after a naked man guessed the meeting link. So unless it was an anatomy class, apparently that's a problem.
Peter, I told you about that.
What they didn't know is Zoom is just a synonym for chat roulette.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, we're going to have clout. Whoa, that's a wiener.
Well, I think he was probably surprised too. I don't think that's the meeting he was looking for.
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe he was.
Can't you just request a different Zoom URL? I don't administer ours.
Yep. Well, so the thing is with Zoom, when you create a conference, it gets a random number, right? So those are hard to guess. But you can create a vanity room number, right? We use those at IT Pro TV for some of our meetings.
Yeah, give some of them out.
And so with the schools, they had set up some that were predictable. And so the man was able to guess one of them. So he likely either, hopefully didn't have a child, but had a child in one of the courses or knew someone else to be able to figure out what that name was.
Billy, is that your dad?
was making a child for one of the courses. Who knows? William, do you use Zoom at your office?
Not for meetings.
Just for calling Norwegian schools?
We've used it a couple times for recording things, but typically I don't use any free software.
So for you guys, do you have all of your staff located in one location, or are you spread out? I know a lot of pen testing companies have people all over the planet.
Yeah, we're spread out.
So how do you remote conference or do your meetings?
We use the Microsoft stack.
Oh, yes, we're on Teams as well. And I think we've got a Teams article a little bit later about Slack, so we'll definitely get to that. But so you're saying, Don, that Zoom is a milkshake duck here because bad things are happening, but they're not doing these things on purpose?
Well, sharing information with Facebook, that was kind of on purpose.
Right.
And, reporting all your process information, that's on purpose.
But that's a feature.
Well, we had that big security vulnerability last July where on a Mac, when you install the Zoom client and installed a little web server so they could bypass some of the authentication prompts. And it was done to make it easier to install, but it resulted in you having a terribly insecure workstation, and they ended up having to push out rapid hot fixes. Apple had to actually step in and block that process. So Zoom, like any company, is a growing company. They're making changes. They're trying to do good things, but just like that guy in the red sweater during the
Ken
town hall.
Ken Bone.
You remember his name?
I do, because I was talking with other people today about milkshake ducks ahead of this segment.
Yep. So everybody liked him for a couple of days, then you learn a little more about him, and it all falls apart.
It all falls apart. So at the end of the day, Zoom is worth every penny that you're paying for it.
Yeah, I will say we do still use Zoom. We use Zoom for our big meeting in the morning, which we'll have 60 people in there, and it runs great.
I'm gonna have a background.
Bare-assed on that thing.
I'm gonna have a background of a Norwegian school now behind me tomorrow, and in our.
Hey, have you seen the fun people are having with the backgrounds?
It's out of control.
My favorite one so far is the Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh, I didn't see
The guy got the black background with the three faces, and then he wears a black shirt, and it's in the place of the fourth face. It's pretty awesome.
Okay. Now I got a plan for tomorrow.
So if we have a room all together, is there any way that I can change Peter's background?
Oh.
I don't know.
I don't think that's a feature right now. And thank God.
I feel like I need to be able to change Peter's background. Be like, oh, did you see Peter?
Just a remote access
racist.
computer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just Nazis. Swastikas taken from the roof.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're in
Peter's
my
got
guest
his
room.
copy of Mein Kampf.
I don't think you can put something in my hand in the background.
Oh,
we used to always hold on to
have
that,
the
aren't we?
team that
All
can
right.
do it.
If there's ever been a time to take a break, I think this is a great one to get me out of this conversation. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with the news right after this on Technado with Don Pizzette.
Are you a career changer or a budding tech pro who's looking to start their career in IT? I'm Wes Bryan, and along with my fellow IT Pro TV edutainer Cherokee Boos, we've just shot a new show just for you. Each week, we'll dive into topics to help you launch your career in tech. Watch how to get started in IT on YouTube now. Just head to youtube.com/ITProTV to watch and look for new episodes every Saturday at 9 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time.
All right, welcome back to Technado with Don Pizzette. We just spent the entire break explaining to Justin what a milkshake duck is again, because he wasn't quite up to speed on it. So, Justin, you good now?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just a duck. I mean,
it's a racist duck.
Oh, yeah. So, have you ever met a duck, like a male duck who's like territorial?
I have not met a duck.
Yeah. So if you're just walking around like waterfowl, ducks, geese, if they're territorial, they like come and like nip at you and bite you, and they're
No, it's because they're racist.
Yeah, against gingers.
Yeah.
Is that a race?
That's a thing.
That's a race.
According to ducks everywhere. Hey, well, let's go ahead and get to our news segment. Our first article is over at Engadget.com. Microsoft will pause optional non-security Windows updates in response to the public health situation. Microsoft will focus on security updates. So this one was a little strange to me because unless there's an issue with their ability to create these updates because they're working from home or they've got weird situations there, what's the reason that they would want to pause them?
So Microsoft's on a bit of a tear right now where they've been releasing updates, and in a small percentage, like 1% or even smaller in some scenarios, the updates can cause a computer not to boot or break other functionality. So anytime you add new features, there's always a risk that you introduce new bugs. So what they're saying is, look, we're going to call a pause on new features, and we're just going to push out security updates right now. And we're doing that because people need to stay secure, but we don't want to break their computers, especially if they're having to work from home. They're already being disrupted. We want to minimize that. But while all that makes sense, if you dig down, they say that they're going to pause them starting May 1st, which is kind of late in the game, right? Like we're going to have a month of quarantine here basically through April, and they're going to pause the updates at the end of it. Seems like they should have started that right away. I don't know why they've delayed on that one.
What is the distribution of like non-security versus security updates that have broken a computer? Like, if they pause these, is there going to be a substantial difference between updates possibly breaking your computer or causing boot issues?
Users aren't installing updates anyway, so.
Well, I think in Windows 10 Home, you don't have an option, right?
You can make it stop, but it's kind of a workaround to make it stop.
Okay.
Make it stop.
Yeah.
I mean, Peter doesn't update, but...
No, but I haven't done a Windows update in forever.
I'm
on
on
a
Windows
Mac.
7 still, so.
But yes, I continue
7.
to every morning have to push that button that says "Remind me tomorrow."
Windows ME, baby.
ME.
Well, it is interesting. Sometimes they push feature updates that seem really simple, like an update to Microsoft Paint. But then it turns out that Paint was leveraging Explorer, and Explorer was used in the file system navigation, and so they did an update there that went alongside it, and then all of a sudden something malfunctions. And some of their bigger feature updates will actually do like file migrations and things, and you end up with situations where drivers don't work, other things don't come across, and you end up with a machine that's messed up. So they're just going to take a pause, which makes sense to me. The only thing that doesn't make sense here is the fact that they're waiting until May 1st, but that's what's happening. Does
this affect you if you're on like the insider's ring or anything like that?
I don't think it affects the insider's ring. I think this is just normal production. Gotcha. And if you have a WSUS server, or the Windows Update server, then in that case you would manage it there. But these are just regular updates coming right from Microsoft.
Gotcha.
William, are you a Windows shop or Mac or a Linux guy? Maybe I might guess that you're on Kali Linux.
Yeah, we use all of the above.
All right. Well, no special fun updates for you guys then, I guess, or anybody. Does anybody here use Windows on our?
I do.
On Technado.
Nate does, right? Oh, on Technado.
Yeah,
I was using.
I mean, normally you're using.
Yeah.
You're using Windows normally, Don?
I'm like 50-50. I go back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, let's move over to our next article. This one is from ZDNet, which, wow. Normally the ads are bad enough for me, but now I've got two coronavirus updates from ZDNet that are covering the headline, so I'll move those. European users reporting they're hitting Azure capacity constraints. Some Microsoft Azure Cloud customers in Europe are reporting that they're hitting capacity limits and unable to spin up virtual machines in their region. So the question I had about this is, it seems like we talked about Netflix last week, asking users to ramp down or asking No, the EU was asking Netflix to slow down to 720 or something, and now we're seeing this, and they're both European things. So, is this just the networks in the US are better able to handle this change in traffic, or why is this just affecting the EU?
So in this scenario, it really isn't just affecting the EU. It's really not affecting the EU either. Like I've had a lot of people come and ask me, "Hey Don, are we going to run out of bandwidth? Is the bandwidth on the internet backbones going to be an issue with all these people working from home and all this increased traffic?" And the reality is, there is a lot of extra bandwidth in the backbones, and edge technologies have advanced so far that, like, when you watch a Netflix video, a lot of times you're not crossing an internet backbone. You're hitting your ISP, and your ISP already has a caching server right there, or their upstream ISP does. So it's rare that big content is being pushed across those main links. So what happened in Europe was they were just concerned that it might become an issue. And so they pushed for Netflix, and now YouTube and Hulu and several others have all switched to a lower quality stream by default. But it's not really necessary. It wasn't necessary then. It's not really necessary now. They're just kind of doing it as a preventative measure. But what I found interesting, and I threw a second article alongside this one, kind of the same story, was that some users that are spinning up resources in Azure, especially in Europe, are hitting capacity limits, right? Microsoft Azure reported they've had a 775% surge in demand in lockdown regions. And so I had to dig real hard to find good numbers. Like, there are very few companies are actually putting out their numbers on this stuff. But a huge increase in the amount of like Teams usage and other things. And they've got the capacity. They're scaling up to be able to handle it. But with a lot of these cloud providers, they only have so much hardware. And they're having to make a choice right now, which is we could buy more hardware to support this current surge, even though we know a month or two from now the surge is going to be gone, or we can just make people use other regions. So if I'm going to deploy a server in Ireland right now, I might not be able to do that. I might hit capacity. So then I have to deploy in France instead, or even further away and just deploy in Virginia, where most of our stuff is. So it's up to you to kind of figure out where you need to move that data. So nobody's totally out of resources yet, but we are having to make some slightly different decisions.
So as the resident simpleton here, why is this creating any issue? Because if I'm at the office, I'm just watching Tiger King on Netflix at the office versus at home. Like, why is it more bandwidth? Just more people are doing more high intensity things?
Yeah, that's really what it is the video calls, right?
Oh, the video
calls. So
Okay.
if everybody were here in the office, we wouldn't be doing video calls. But now everybody goes home and they're doing video calls. Their kids are doing video calls for school. That's going on. And also people are just bored. If you're working from home, you might fire up Tiger King on that second monitor versus at work, you might not because, you're supposed to be working. So there's just an increased amount of video traffic, and video traffic can be kind of hefty.
And so is this, is some of this surge brought on, like this is Microsoft scaling some of their own services. Like, let's just say you're doing video calls in Teams. Is that also attributing to, that was something that I had trouble like kind of teasing apart. Like not all of that surge is like me logging into the Azure portal and going, I need more servers or more virtual desktops. Some of that has to do with Microsoft scaling their own services, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. So like right now, I might say, look, I need people to go work from home, but we don't have any laptops, so they're going to use their home machine. So for better security, we're going to do a bunch of virtual desktops. So I'm going to go into Azure and launch 200 virtual desktops, right? So now that's me consuming part of Microsoft's capacity. And if I'm not the only one doing that, if thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people are doing the same thing, then Microsoft is going to run out of the physical hardware to be able to back up those virtual resources. And so that's where they start to run out of capacity.
So William, you mentioned that you guys are kind of spread out anyway as it is. So, you were kind of doing this before. Have you noticed any difference? I mean, because I don't have a baseline of, how the quality is supposed to look on the Zoom calls from my house or things like that. Have you noticed any changes in things since more people have been doing the work from home thing?
In some ways, I've noticed bandwidth being slower at some points, but it hasn't been detrimental or anything.
And from the security standpoint, would you say that people are more at risk at home than at the office, or is it pretty much the same kind of threat surface we've always had?
I would say they're more at risk at home. coming from a social engineering perspective, which is our best way into an organization. If we're doing a social engineering engagement, we typically get 50% click rate. We get passwords every time. But when users are at home, they are more distracted. There's more things happening, children running around because the children are at home too. And not to forget, the hackers are all sitting at home as well, wherever they are.
Plus, I'm really distracted by watching Tiger King.
Exactly.
Oh,
I'm like,
man, I got
yeah,
a
click
Tiger
on that.
King email. Got to see that.
Well, I know you can't divulge any customer information, but do you have any active tests that are going on right now that are able to take advantage of the current situation?
No active penetration testing. Those have all mostly been pushed back because of client needs. But for some of the managed security awareness training, yes, we have taken advantage of COVID-19.
That brings up an interesting point. Back in October, I was at Wild West Hackin' Fest, and I was talking to a bunch of the pen testers there, and they were saying they really were trying to push for more remote work, trying to save the customers money that they could spend on, more pen tests and or other things, mitigations and stuff. Are you seeing that this might trend pen testing to more remote work?
I'm thinking it might. There's been a few engagements that want it to change from physical to remote, so which is fine with us. We just send a computer, connects back to our VPN, and we do our tests.
So do you think because of like things getting pushed back, you just said that we have some of these engagement pushback, which kind of spurred into my mind, 6 months from now, are we going to see like an uptick in breaches because now people are going to have longer to poke around, or am I just being paranoid?
Unfortunately, that's what I'm anticipating.
Boy, the news for 2020 just gets better every day.
Yep. America.
So, hey, we fixed this coronavirus thing, and it's summer, and now you've all been breached. But
I did see a guy say that. Are you really surprised that we have to tell people to wash their hands now? I mean, it was just 3 years ago we had to tell them not to eat Tide Pods.
That's true. Which
are so good.
I'm guessing those would have killed any viruses.
What if it turns out that's the cure?
Tide Pods.
Tide Pods.
Maybe it was the impetus.
Yeah, the cure is being dead.
There was a bat eating Tide Pods.
You can't have coronavirus if you're dead.
Yeah,
that's a true statement. I go say that.
I don't
right
think
now.
that is.
I was about to say, I see Justin move. It's like, hold on, you might be able to still be a carrier.
You can be a carrier, but you're not going to have.
Yeah, for a limited amount of time because the virus needs a host cell to replicate.
Yeah. Sure.
So don't try to do CPR is what I'm hearing. Got it.
Yeah. DNR for all of us right now. All right, let's move over now to theverge.com and kind of sticking with the same theme here and talking about remote work and stuff. Slack is working on Microsoft Teams integration for calls. Microsoft and Slack might be working together. So,
what the hell is this?
Yeah, what's going on here? So, what does Slack use right now for video calls? Was it their own thing?
Yeah, they have their own thing.
Okay.
Yep. So Slack, which was the Silicon Valley darling for a while, much like Zoom, for allowing easy inter-office chat and video, they were doing really well. In fact, they're doing well right now. They're up to 12 million concurrent users, which is pretty impressive. Microsoft decided last year it was time to eat Slack's lunch and bolstered up their Teams offering. Teams is now up to 44 million concurrent users. So they are significantly larger market share now than Slack. So Slack is basically struggling to find some way to continue growth, to continue dominating that market. And they've decided one way to do it is if they can integrate with Teams, because there are a lot of employees where they don't have a choice. They have to use Teams. So even if they like Slack, they can't use it, as Peter reminds me often. And for the better animated GIF support, GIF support or whatever. No, we won't start that one. So anyhow, so Slack came up with a novel idea, which was Microsoft publishes APIs for doing the Teams calls. And so they are updating Slack to be able to interact with that API so you can potentially make voice calls in between the two. Now, they're working on voice calls now, video calls to follow, right? But it is all relying on Microsoft's API, which means Microsoft can turn this functionality off at a moment's notice whenever they want. But Slack is hoping that this will be a way to make it where their product stays relevant, stays active, and is able to coexist with Teams, since I would say this is the signal where they're saying, hey, we can't defeat Teams. Let's try and coexist.
Man, I bet Slack is going, we should have sold, because Microsoft tried to acquire them, right?
Yeah, that's happened a few times over the years where companies pass on an acquisition and then...
Yahoo was the big one, right?
Yeah, or Twitter. Twitter passed numerous times, and now nobody will buy Twitter. It's like a pariah.
You know what? I bet if they had a Teams integration, someone would buy them.
If they integrated with Slack.
So
I'd
real
buy that.
quick, does the Teams API provide posting messages through API access?
Yeah.
So I could build a Slack integration for their GIF support into Teams.
So you can kind of already achieve that with what's the new name? Power Automate.
Yeah, the Power Apps.
Yeah, what used to be Flow.
Yeah.
So you can tie the two together through there.
Justin, do it.
I'm not the one worried about it, Peter.
I know.
I feel like you need to learn something.
Well,
Desktop them
if you
devs
don't think you know how, that's fine.
Yeah, that's really where I'm concerned because Don just said, and they can turn that API off at a moment's notice.
Once they see those sweet gifts.
Yeah.
I just noticed this mannequin is still next to me.
You know, my email allows me to send whatever GIF I want.
Yeah. Odd.
It's weird.
All right.
Yeah.
You know, I bet if we were really crazy, we could figure out a way to take those GIFs and send them to the color printer so you can make flip books.
Now we're really going back in time.
Actually, that sounds like a great project. Someone write that down. I don't have any way to write it down.
That's a great sit-at-home project right now.
Ooh, look at that.
Look, I
It's
made
the
a
Tiger
meme.
King.
Out of a whole ream of paper.
Also, these trees are dead.
Now, what's funny is when I first heard Tiger King, I thought, this is a weird restaurant. They're going down a road I didn't expect.
Speaking of weird restaurants, I watched Better Call Saul last night, and
Yeah.
they had a meeting where they all had. This is not a spoiler, don't worry. They all had.
They all died.
All
That was the end of the show. It was
yeah,
weird.
and that was weird. Yeah, and no one called Saul. But they had different restaurants, and one of the restaurants was called Luftwaffe.
Nice.
And I was like, that's
clever.
yeah, I know, but
It goes right up your alley, too, right?
Yeah. what? No. Dang it. All right.
Isn't there a Pollo Hermanos in town or something like that?
There's a Pollo Loco, or
Yeah, Pollo.
No, there's a Pollo Loco, but on 43rd, there's right next to the Zaxby's. Isn't there like a Pollo Hermanos?
I gotta think somebody copyrighted that after.
Yeah, one would
show
think.
copyright.
Or that's where we can go get meth.
That's pretty good. Yeah, they have like it look like a rock candy. I'm not sure what it is, but
Yeah, also, I have a lot of energy. Yeah, I want to clean.
meth also a cure right now.
No, it's not.
No, it is not.
I'm gonna go ahead and not end up in a like a deposition. That is not the cure.
Did Mr. Van Rosdom mention that methamphetamines was a cure for...
Why is it
I don't know
Matlock?
why he's...
Why is Matlock doing the deposition?
He's got like a string tie.
All depositions have to be done by a Southern gentleman.
That's right.
That's true. All right, let's move over now to Phoronix.com. Oh, I touched my face.
I've been doing it the whole time.
got
I'm
it
like,
now.
I just got done like holding a sanitary, the Clorox wipe for like 15 minutes. I'm like, I think I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm just going to touch my face so much after this is done. Just really get in there. All right, Phoronix.com.
Illegal.
Linux 5.6 ships with broken Intel Wi-Fi driver after network security fixes go awry. So Don, why would they have shipped it with that?
All right, so I grabbed this article to specifically address the question that you asked earlier about, like, how often do updates roll out that actually mess with an OS? Microsoft pausing their updates. Well, in the Linux world, they don't pause updates. They keep doing it. It's up to the distros to choose. And the latest Linux kernel, 5.6, shipped with some updates to their Intel Wi-Fi driver. And the updates were actually a security patch. They were, working to fix some of the vulnerabilities that have been detected late last year. And one of those changes actually breaks the built-in Intel Wi-Fi driver. Now, if you're using the one that you get from Intel's site where you're downloading the closed source blob, that one actually still works, but it's closed source, but people don't trust it. So it's the open source one that if you're using it, it's actually broken in kernel 5.6. Now, fortunately, most distros are not running kernel 5.6 just yet, right? So if you're running RHEL, CentOS, even Ubuntu, you're not running on 5.6 yet, so it's not a problem. But if you're running one of the test builds that are running 5.6, or if you're planning on it, you need to hold off, and the update that fixes it will be in 5.6.1, which is due out in just a couple of weeks.
Hey, you know what? That security fix is technically right because it can't be a security issue if you're not on the internet.
That's true. Yeah, it's a super security fix.
Yeah.
I think William would probably disagree on that, right? Like air gap systems are not immune.
Oh, no, I'm not saying I've heard that many times as well.
Yeah.
I'm just saying in this context, they're like, well, we fixed it. How? You can't get on the internet. That's where this one came from.
Maybe we broke it.
What do you say, William?
Yeah, air gap's not the answer.
But that's what all of my government contacts say. They're like, it's fine, it's air gapped. I'm like, but that guy's got a cell phone. Where's he going?
No, I've always loved like the Mission Impossible where they've got the computer in the room that they have to drop down to, and then you're like, why does it have a USB port on the front? That's
Yeah.
What's funny is like I think Kaspersky put out they did some research that was like a year or two ago about how secure are these critical infrastructure, SCADA systems, things of that nature, because they're air gapped. They should be fine, right? And they found, it was like wicked insecure because they were going, you know what this oil meter needs is wireless internet access. Let me plug this, cell card into it. Man, I ain't got to get out my truck. It's amazing. And yeah, they were just connecting everything via wireless devices.
Yeah, they just did that with the electric company that's out on the side of town where I live, and it just had me thinking like, oh, this is gonna just be a disaster.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
Like what, Peter? You're as self-described, the simpleton of the crew.
Well, I think my bill could go up when someone hacks it, and then.
Or your
go
bill
down.
could go down.
Well, that's why I need you on my side, Justin and Daniel.
Now, we've been doing this podcast a while. How many times have we reported hackers lower your bill?
Yeah,
Don, I'm just hoping against hope that it happens.
No, hackers lower their own bill, is what it
Yeah.
what
Well,
it reported.
they got to
your
lower
mortgage.
other people's bill because if there's only 3 people in that service region, like our bill went down. How much? To a penny.
Hackers eliminate all student loan debt.
Oh yeah, I love it. Do
I
it.
had a friend that used to work for Sally Mae, and he was like, could you? And I was like, no, don't ask me.
What's your friend's name? I need to talk to you.
Yeah, we need to go ahead and get this plan in action here.
Yeah.
All right, well, so hold off on updating if you have not already on whatever Linux distro you're
Real quick,
using. Go ahead.
is your wireless meter connected to your FOSCAM?
Now, you guys joke a lot about my FOSCam.
I do.
And first of all, it's in a drawer now.
It's air gapped.
It's air gapped. It's power gapped or whatever you call it. But I want to bring this FOSCam on the show one time, or just have it set up at home and give Daniel whatever information he would have normally.
Like the username and password.
Yeah.
IP.
Well, that's available on the
I'll
internet.
take that.
That's available on the internet, I think. But I want to see you actually do this because you talk a big game.
So I don't talk a big game. I just make fun of you.
You do.
But you also make fun of me, so turnabout's fair play. Can we also pack it full of thermite?
Yes.
And melt it afterward?
Yeah.
Can you buy thermite?
You can.
You don't need to buy thermite. I mean, anyway, what's this next thing we're doing?
All right. Let's.
Local Gainesville man arrested at construction site.
No, it's not illegal.
On bleepingcomputer.com, FBI, Justin, FBI says hackers are sending malicious USB drives and teddy bears via USPS. And so,
It's air gapped.
yeah, exactly. Well, I'm thinking of, Don, we've done some webinars and things here where, wait, are the teddy bears USB teddy
So
bears?
this is what I was like. The way the headline's written is you get a USB drive and then a teddy bear attacks you.
It's like a demonic Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah, it just slices your Achilles tendon and grabs that USB and plugs
all
it into
seen
your
Child's
computer.
Play.
Yeah.
I was thinking that I was thinking that the teddy bears had some kind of device in them, like a pineapple or a pumpkin or something like that, but like just shoved in the not a pineapple.
Man, this
like
is
Wi-Fi
taking a turn for the
pineapple.
worse.
All right. Yeah.
Anyway, what's
So
back
this
up,
is
but now-
the age-old tale that we've all heard. If you've taken any
Pineapple.
IT security training in the last 15 years, you've heard the story about the pen tester that sprinkles USB keys in the parking lot of a bank. Somebody picks it up. Obviously, you got to check the USB key to see if it has pictures on it. Plugs it into their work computer, and the machine is now compromised. And so we usually joke about that story. And the older a story gets, the more people just chalk it up to I don't know. It's like Jonah and the whale. It's just some old story that people tell. But we're finding out right now that it's, one, real, and two, still happening to this very moment. So hackers are distributing USB drives through a few different means, like just sprinkling them out, sending them in a package. This one is actually coming in a letter that is packaged with a note from Best Buy saying, hey, you've qualified to get a $50 gift card to Best Buy, and all you have to do is go to the website and punch in the unique code that's made just for you and is stored on the USB key. So you've got to plug in the USB key to get the code, and then you go to Best Buy's site or whatever. But at that point, the USB key is actually on the inside, it is emulating a keyboard. And so then it's able to start issuing commands in the background on your system. And so it has a payload that then reaches back to command and control server somewhere. And then they're able to use that as the entry point to break into your machine and compromise it. So that just takes a matter of plugging in that USB key. And in this day and age, when people get a letter and it says they could get $50 from Best Buy, people tend to do it. They tend to think that's a reality. So people are getting hit with this. They've been targeting a few different organizations, but this could affect anybody. So it pays to tell people that story about USB keys and remind them, you don't want to just plug one in. And I think it was just a few weeks ago I found a USB key in our parking lot, and so I
plugged it in.
He plugged it into Peter's computer.
He's like, this teddy bear is awesome.
Like a good IT professional, I took a laptop that had recently been erased that I knew had no data and was not connected to a network. So I had a machine that was erasable, and I plugged the USB key into it. Now, there are USB killers out there where you plug them in and they slowly charge and they zap your port, so there's a risk of that. But I looked at the USB key, and it turned out to be mine. It fell out of my backpack. So I found my USB key.
So this is something that's appealing to greed, right? You're getting free Best Buy. But I just got a mailing yesterday about the new COVID-19 guidelines from the CDC. That would be a perfect time. Tape a USB key to it, send it to them and go, now some of the new guidelines and research that we found was a little too much for a printout. Plug this in to find out more.
Yeah, or there's a video on the USB key with a Surgeon General announcement.
Yeah.
Now, Don, do you know how many other people might have picked up that USB key and taken your data while it was in the parking lot? And just put it back then?
I don't know. But it was actually a Ubuntu installation USB key, so it really wouldn't have mattered. Dang it. And it got erased anyway.
Well, it's like, what are the odds that some random hacker's walking by and go, oh, a USB key. Let me put some malware on it.
Or let me plug it into my computer.
Yeah.
That's what hackers do.
That's it.
So William, was this your company sending out the keys as a social networking or social engineering, trying to get into people's systems?
No, we've done things with USB keys in the past, but not sprinkle them in parking lots.
God, I want to know so much more.
Yeah. So we just ran in and threw them at the reception.
You're like, plug this in, woman.
just a Ziploc bag full of whack.
Yeah.
Like, go through them. One of them's got a prize.
Go ahead, William.
It was a pen test on a bank, so we snuck in behind the cleaning crew after hours and used it to add backdoor admin accounts to a bunch of computers.
Nice.
Oh, that's way less comical and more effective than what I proposed.
It's certainly more effective. Because I guess if you sprinkle them in the parking lot, customers might pick them up. But if you just go in and plant them yourselves, you know exactly where they're deployed.
I don't know why, but my mind just had him putting a gun to some person's head. Plug that into that computer right now. Judge, I didn't put that malware on that system, I swear.
I'm pretty sure that's out of scope for their pen
also,
testing.
is that... What charge is that? That's at least assault, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, question: you get permission from let's just say a bank, for example. You get permission to do a pen test from them. So, if you were to do something like sprinkle USB sticks in the parking lot, and a customer picked them up and put it on their machine, and all of a sudden you have access to that. I mean, you're in a legal gray area then, right?
Yeah, that is a legal issue. And if we were to do something like that, we would have to take precautions to avoid such issues because legally that would be out of scope for the engagement.
That would seem like an effective strategy employed at like an employees-only parking lot. Like it would be hard to do in a public-facing institution.
Yeah, if it was like their parking
Even
garage.
so, though, if they took it home and plugged it in,
yeah,
even if you had like in scope to plant it in the office of the CEO or whatever, if you picked it up and was like, oh, I'm gonna take this home and plug it into my home computer.
Or give it to my kid. They
yeah,
need a USB
this might
stick
be
for
out
work.
of scope. That seems to be a real sketchy area that you probably want to avoid.
So what you're telling me is the gun to the head forcible plug-in
That's
is
fine.
a better route.
Yeah, it's
That's
more,
a way to go.
yeah, it's more clear. That makes more
They
sense.
did
I
it
think.
themselves.
So I had talked to some of the folks over at Grim Cyber, and what they said they did is their command and control servers, they IP restricted them because they had the scope document, so they knew the public IPs of the bank. And so they would only allow connections from the bank.
Oh.
That way, if a customer got it, it couldn't contact the CNC or 2C. But I mean, you still had the problem though. If you installed a payload on somebody's machine, that'll get you in trouble. So it's a tough world to be a pen tester and stay on.
How many
the up and up.
lawyers do you have?
Quite a few, I bet. Hey, so before we let you go, William, just wanted to first of all remind us again, what was that URL for the conference for the SMB Cyber Summit coming up?
It is SMB Cybersummit.com.
That's so easy, and I don't know how I didn't remember that. And so they sign up. Registrations opened up yesterday, so get in there now, and you can register right up to the event.
Correct. Registration is free, and then there's the upgrade options that you guys mentioned earlier.
Definitely. Okay. And you can see Adam's talk there as well as a bunch of other great talks. So definitely check that out. And if people want to learn more about CyberX cybersecurity services, what's the best way to reach you there?
They can check out our website, cyberx.tech, or they can check us out on Twitter at CyberXSEC for security. And that's where we typically hang out.
Cool. And you've got a YouTube channel as well, SMB Secure, that you do most of those videos, right?
Correct.
All right. That's why you have, I mean, it looks like you're in a Sears photo studio from my childhood. So I like the
But he's not crying, and no one's going to look at the camera.
yeah, holding a teddy bear with USB keys.
Yeah. Like, what's taken out of the bottom of that? It's a pineapple. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
It's a fun.
A teddy bear crapping a pineapple?
If only it was crapping.
You misunderstood what I meant. I want to move on from that. Hey, we're going to let you know we've got a few webinars coming up here at IT Pro TV. The next one is Nurturing a Learning Culture Remotely, keeping your team's skills relevant while facing the challenges of remote working. And that's Thursday, April 9th at 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. So head over to itpro.tv/webinars. Take a look at that. And Don, we've got something else going on here right now as... Are we? I don't know if we're a milkshake duck, but but we're making some things free to educators. I know there's a lot of schools out there right now that can't do the regular in classroom training that they're able to do normally, and they're having to send people home. So we've got a few courses that we're opening up. Do you remember what those are, Don?
Yeah, we've kind of focused on the CompTIA programs that are really popular amongst high schools and vocational colleges, which is A+, Network Plus, and Security Plus. Those three are pretty common in the curriculum for those schools. So we got a program in place right now that says, hey, if you're having to convert physical classes to online and you don't have a great way to present the training material, reach out to us, reach out to IT Pro TV, and we'll provide that free of charge. So for your university, for your school, you can give your students access to our A+, our Net Plus, our Security Plus, and you can use that video content and that training to be able to educate your students remotely. And then you can still do homework assignments and all that on your own, just like you normally would. But now you actually have training material that's already online. So if you work for or are attending an educational organization, facility, institution, if you're institutionalized and you want to advance your CompTIA training, just reach out to us or tell the other people of the organization to reach out to us.
Yeah, and we will not narc on you if you aren't paying attention.
It's minimized.
And in none of the episodes is there a Norwegian man naked.
No.
Did I? I don't think there are.
No,
We
you
took all that out?
hosted with me, and you always kept your clothes on.
Yeah. All right. If you're interested in learning more about that, you can email edu.assistance@itpro.tv to find out all about that. And while you're on that internet, head over to go.itpro.tv/Technado. You can get a 30% off coupon code for subscription IT Pro TV for your personal plan, and that's the lifetime of your account. That's 30% off. And if you are part of a business or a team and you want to find out more about the features they have over there for teams, you can fill out a form on that page at go.itpro.tv/Technado, and someone will reach out to you and tell you those answers to those questions. And last thing before we let you go, it was April 1st yesterday, and April 1st we launched a special new certification here, Daniel, that you hosted our pen test certification. How exciting was that?
It was a lot of fun, right? And Justin got to be a part of that as well, so we always have a good time making those things. But we can get you easily pen test certified, so check that out. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, you can ink your name on a certificate there, and I'm trying to think of other puns about pens, but
It's a great way to leverage your work from home isolation time. Get pen test certified.
yeah. So head over to go.itpro.tv/pen-test-series. We put dashes in everything. It's hard to say.
Rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
But pen-test-series, and you can have some fun with that. But if you got the CRAP certification last year for the Certified Reboot Associate Professional on April 1st, you can get the pen test certification this time. So I've already printed it out. It's on my desk. So certified pen tester. Can't see the air quotes if you're just listening, but pens. All right, guys. Thank you so much, William, for joining us today and taking the time out of your schedule.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you guys for staying away from each other throughout this entire time. And Justin, we promise we will let you out or slide some thinly sliced ham right.
I just need water. I mean, we'll be honest. I'll be all right in here with a bucket and some water for probably about 30 days.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a cup in there.
Just go on
No
Bear
water in
Grylls.
it, but
Yeah.
you need to do.
There you go. Yeah, snakeskin.
Why am I squeezing an elephant turd to extract the water out of
And
it?
why is there an elephant turd there?
It's hard to live off the land when you're trapped in a commercial office building.
Yeah, there's a lot of moisture in this carpet if you squeeze it.
Yeah, it's my moisture.
Yeah, I've been sweating and peeing all over it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week right here on Technado with Don Pizzette.